The wrong compliment. James Carter was not a hero. He was not a soldier, not a scientist, and definitely not the kind of man who should be talking to aliens. He was just a station technician. He fixed broken wires, rebooted computers, and sometimes watched old Earth movies when work was slow. He was alone on Orbital Station 9, floating above Earth. The rest of the crew was on leave. James didn't mind. He liked the quiet. The silence of space was peaceful. That morning, something strange happened. The comm system beeped. An alert James had never seen before. It was a signal. Unknown origin, not human. Great, James muttered, sipping his cold coffee. Probably a bug. He pressed a few buttons, expecting the screen to show static or some error code. Instead, a clear hologram appeared in front of him. An alien. She was tall. Very tall. Her skin was a deep silver blue. Her armor looked like it was made of glowing metal, and her eyes, they were sharp, glowing red like two burning stars. She looked like a warrior from some fantasy movie. James stared wide-eyed. Hi? The alien tilted her head slightly. You understand me? Yes, James said, surprised. Wow, that's cool. Real-time translation? She did not smile. Who are you, human? James stood up, brushing crumbs off his shirt. James Carter, technician. Human, not dangerous. She stepped closer in the hologram. Even as a projection, her presence was powerful. I am Jera, Blade of the Crimson Moons, daughter of the Elder Huntress, first spear of the Blood Oath. James blinked. Wow, that's a long title. Silence. Nervous, James tried to joke. You know, you're kinda adorable. As soon as the words left his mouth, he froze. Adorable? She was armed head to toe, looked like she could crush him with one hand, and he called her adorable. Jara's eyes widened. She didn't speak. She didn't blink. She simply stared at him. Wait, I didn't mean that in a bad way. James raised his hands. I just meant you're cool, powerful, not fluffy or something. Still, no response. Suddenly, the hologram vanished. Great, James said. I probably just insulted a space. Warrior! He sighed and sat back down. But then, the lights flickered. Alarms blared. A glowing circle appeared in the middle of the room. A portal, spinning with strange energy. James stood up so fast he knocked over his chair. From the portal, a figure stepped out. Jera. This time, she was real. Her feet hit the metal floor with a heavy thud. The air around her crackled with energy. She was even more terrifying in person. Hi again, James whispered. She walked forward slowly, eyes locked on him. You have invoked the warrior's right, she said. The what? You have offered a challenge. I did? Calling a huntress adorable is a direct challenge in my culture. You must now face the consequences. James took a step back. No. Wait. I think there's a mistake. This was a cultural misunderstanding. I accept your challenge. You do? Yes. And as our laws demand, I must take you to my world. Take me, like now. Before he could say anything else, she reached out and touched a device on her wrist. The portal behind her grew brighter. Prepare yourself, James Carter, she said. I don't even have clean underwear, he mumbled. The last thing he saw, before everything turned white, was Jara's expression. It wasn't anger. It wasn't hate. It was curiosity. Trial by combat, or flirting. James Carter opened his eyes to a sky filled with two moons, one red, one blue. Strange birds flew overhead, their wings glowing like jellyfish. He was lying on cold purple grass, and the air smelled like metal and fire. Where am I? He whispered. A strong hand grabbed his arm and pulled him to his feet. It was Jara. You are on Draxion, she said. My home world. The ground trembled slightly as a large creature walked by in the distance. It had 6 legs and a back, full of sharp spikes. James stared at it with his mouth open. Do all your animals look like death machines? Jara didn't answer. She just kept walking, and James had no choice but to follow. They reached a high stone gate. guarded by two tall warriors with red armor and glowing spears. The gate opened slowly with a heavy growl, revealing a massive city made of black stone and pulsing lights. The buildings were sharp, tall, and alive with energy. James had never seen anything like it. Part alien jungle, part ancient fortress, and part space station. It was beautiful and terrifying. Jara led him into a circular arena surrounded by thousands of aliens. They were tall like her, each with different markings on their armor and faces. The crowd was loud, excited. Drums boomed, banners waved. It felt like a festival for war. "What is this?" James asked nervously. "Your trial," Jara said. "To prove your worth." "Worth for what?" "For survival. And possibly more." Before he could ask what more meant, a loud voice echoed across the arena. "Bring forth the challenger." James was shoved into the center of the arena. He looked around. No weapons, no tools, just him, in his Earth clothes in front of thousands of alien warriors. A massive door opened across the arena. A challenger stepped out. He was even bigger than Jara. His armor was dark with red lines running through it like lava. He held a double-bladed staff, and his eyes glowed orange. "That guy looks like he eats spaceships for breakfast," James muttered. Jara stepped forward and spoke to the crowd. "This human has insulted a huntress. Under our laws, he must prove his courage. He may not be one of us, but he has shown boldness." The crowd laughed at that word. Boldness, James thought. Is that what they call being stupid now? Jara looked at him and whispered, "Don't die." "Great advice," James said. The drums started again. The challenger charged. James ran. He dodged the first swing, then the second. The crowd roared. He tripped over a rock, rolled, and barely avoided a glowing spear tip stabbing the ground. Okay, James gasped. Think. He saw a pile of dirt nearby. Without thinking, he grabbed a handful and threw it into the challenger's eyes. The alien screamed in surprise and backed off. The crowd went silent. Then, they cheered. James used the moment to grab a broken shield from the ground. He didn't know how to fight, but he knew how to stay alive. The challenger attacked again. James blocked with the shield. Sparks flew. He ducked, rolled, and used the shield's edge to trip the warrior. The alien fell hard. James stood over him, shaking, the broken shield in hand. The arena went completely quiet. Then someone shouted, "Clever!" Another voice. Strange tactics, then. But not dishonorable. Jara stepped into the arena. "The human has passed the first trial." James dropped the shield. "Seriously?" She nodded. "You are not strong, but you are unpredictable." "That is power," he laughed. "Well, glad my stupidity is finally useful." As the crowd cheered, Jara leaned closer. "The next trial begins tomorrow, and it will be harder. What if I don't want to do it, then you die?" James gulped. She began to walk away, but then stopped. "By the way, calling a huntress adorable is not just a challenge. In our culture, it is a kind of proposal." James nearly fell over. "What?" "You challenged me and chose me in one sentence. I didn't mean to. It was a panic comment." Jara smiled, just a tiny, terrifying smile. "Too late now." The human cheat code. James Carter didn't sleep that night. He sat alone in a small stone room lit by glowing crystals. There was no bed, no blankets, just a hard bench and a jug of sour water. Outside, the alien city hummed like a living machine. "This is crazy," he muttered to himself. "I'm not a warrior. I'm a technician. I fix wires. I watch sci-fi shows. I don't fight aliens in death games." But the trial was real. And tomorrow, it would be worse. His mind raced. He couldn't win with strength. Jara's people were giants built like armored tanks, but maybe he didn't need strength. Maybe he needed something else. "I'm human," he whispered. "We're not the strongest, but we adapt. We survive." He stood up and looked around the room. It was time to cheat. Morning came. The arena was bigger this time. Open field, rocky terrain, strange machines lying broken in the corners. Above, strange drones floated, watching everything. The trial master stood tall and shouted, "Second trial, the hunt of the Echo Beast." A heavy gate opened. A loud roar shook the arena. Something huge stepped out, hidden behind fog and shadow. The Echo Beast. It had 4 legs, long arms, and a mouth full of teeth that clicked like metal. Its skin shimmered, changing color with every step. It moved fast, faster than James expected. The crowd cheered. James took a deep breath and tapped the small device hidden under his sleeve. During the night, he had taken apart a wall panel and rebuilt a mini hologram projector using alien tech and his comms badge. He couldn't fight the beast, but maybe he didn't need to. The beast roared and charged toward him. James ran to the left, sliding behind a broken metal crate. He tapped the device again. A glowing copy of himself appeared across the field, standing tall, waving its arms. The Echo Beast saw it and charged. The crowd gasped. The beast crashed into the illusion, confused, its claws swiping through light. James moved again, setting up another hologram. This time it showed fire, a false explosion. The beast roared in fear and backed away. The warriors watching didn't know what to make of it. This wasn't strength. It wasn't speed. It was strategy, trickery, human cleverness. But it worked. James led the beast in circles until it finally crashed into a wall, knocking itself unconscious. Silence fell over the arena. Then, wild applause. Jera stepped into the ring, her expression unreadable. "You used forbidden tech," the trial master said sharply. "He used what he had," Jara replied. "He adapted. That is a kind of strength," the crowd murmured in agreement. "Was it cheating?" James asked, still catching his breath. "Or was it creative problem solving?" Jara didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked close to him, her voice low. "You think differently. Your kind bends the rules, breaks them." James shrugged. "That's what humans do when we're in trouble. We don't always win by force. We win by finding another way." She nodded. "You passed." "Barely." He smiled. "Barely is still passing." As they walked out of the arena, James noticed the crowd watching him differently now. Some were curious, others suspicious. And then, from the shadows, another figure stepped forward. He wore black armor with no symbols, his face hidden behind a silver mask. "You dishonor the trials," the figure said. Jera stepped between him and James. "He fights his way, not yours." "Then let him fight me next," the masked warrior said. "No tricks, no tech, real combat." James swallowed. "Do I get a vote?" "You have accepted the warrior's path," the man said. "You will fight me tomorrow." The man disappeared into the crowd. James turned to Jara. "Who was that?" Looked uneasy. "He is Kyle, the Shadow Blade. He does not lose." "Great," James said. "Just once I'd like to be challenged by someone named Fluffy." But that night, James couldn't sleep again. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about Kale, about the Echo Beast, about how this all started. With a dumb compliment. He didn't want to die. But now, part of him didn't want to run either. Something had changed. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He wanted to win. The first real fight, James stood in front of a mirror made from obsidian stone. His reflection looked tired. His eyes were hollow. He had dark circles, a bruise on his jaw, and dried blood on his elbow. He didn't recognize himself anymore. This wasn't the space station. This wasn't Earth. He wasn't a technician anymore. He was a warrior now, or at least trying to become one. Behind him, the door opened with a soft hiss. Jara entered. "You look weak," she said. "Thanks," James replied. "You really know how to boost a guy's confidence." She handed him a dark cloth, some kind of traditional armor made of alien fabric and bone plates. "You fight Kale today," she said. "You cannot use tricks this time, no gadgets, no illusions." "Why not?" he asked. "Tricks are kind of my thing." This trial is sacred, watched by the High Council. This is no beast. Kyle is not a test. He is an execution. James looked at her. Why does he hate me so much? Because he fears you, she said softly. James blinked. Me? What could a guy like him possibly fear from me? You're human, unknown, unpredictable, and worst of all, she paused, then added, you made me smile. He noticed. James didn't know what to say to that. The arena was different today. It was smaller. No giant beasts, no terrain advantages. Just a flat circle of black stone lit by fire pillars. The crowd was silent, serious. This wasn't a show anymore. This was a reckoning. Cale stood across from James, completely still. His armor was smooth, dark, and without any house symbols. He held two curved blades sharp enough to cut through steel. Jara stood in the middle. By tradition, she announced, this is a blade duel. One must fall. The other shall rise. She stepped back. Cale didn't wait. He moved like lightning. James barely dodged the first swing. Sparks flew as the blade scraped the stone. He stumbled backward, grabbed a training spear from the ground. Cale came again. James blocked. Barely. The force of the blow knocked him to one knee. This wasn't like fighting the Echo Beast. This wasn't about tricks. This was about instinct. Survival. Pain. Cale slashed again. James twisted, the spear snapping in half. He jumped back, gasping. Okay. No pressure. Cale didn't speak. He kept coming. James ducked under the next strike, rolled and picked up a fallen warrior's broken shield. He blocked one blade, then kicked Cale in the leg. It didn't do much, but it gave him space. The crowd was silent, watching every move. Cale slashed again. The shield cracked. James was thrown back, his chest burning, blood on his lip. He couldn't win this with force, not with strength, but maybe. James stood up slowly, breathing hard. He looked at Cale's blades. Fast, deadly, curved forward. He remembered something from a movie back on Earth. Curved blades. Have weak parry angles. Cale charged again. James dropped the shield, sidestepped, and at the last second, stepped into the strike. Everyone gasped, but James ducked inside the curve of the blade, grabbed Cale's arm, and slammed his head into the warrior's chest plate. Cale stumbled. Shocked. James used the moment, grabbed one of the blades, and pulled it free. He didn't stab him. He just held the blade to Cale's throat. Silence. Cale looked into his eyes. Angry, but surprised. James lowered the blade and stepped back. I'm not here to kill anyone, James said, loud enough for all to hear. I didn't come for war. I came because I said the wrong thing to the wrong alien at the wrong time. Laughter rippled through the crowd. Then, applause. Jara stepped forward. The human wins. Kyle stood still for a long moment, then dropped to one knee, not in defeat, but in respect. The crowd did the same. James looked around, breathing hard, blood on his hands, pain in his ribs, but something else too. He had earned their respect. Jara approached him quietly. You did not kill him, she said. Wasn't the point, James replied. You showed restraint, mercy, honor. James smiled. Guess I'm learning your ways. Jara stepped closer than ever before. No, she said. You're teaching us yours. For the first time, her voice was soft, but before they could speak more, a deep horn sounded across the sky. Everyone looked up. A ship, huge, dark, and alien, appeared in the clouds. Jara's face turned pale. That's not one of ours, she said. James felt a chill run down his spine. Then who is it? Beneath the surface, the sky above Draxion burned red as the alien ship hovered silently over the city. It was massive, larger than any ship James had ever seen. Not like Jara's people's sleek designs. This one looked ancient and aggressive. Sharp angles, black metal, no visible markings. No one in the crowd moved. Not even Kale. "What is that?" James whispered. Jara's jaw was tight. "A Shadow Fleet ship. They were destroyed long ago, or so we believed." James glanced at her. "So we're being visited by space ghosts?" Jara didn't answer. Her hand was already on her weapon. The ship released a deep, mechanical howl that echoed through the air. It wasn't just a sound, it vibrated in James's chest like it was trying to speak in a language only machines knew. Then, beams of green light shot from the ship, scanning the city. Towers trembled. Warriors shouted. "We need to move," Jara said, grabbing James's arm. "Now." They ran through narrow stone paths as alarm drums beat across the city. The council chambers were in chaos, elders yelling, warriors preparing defenses. Jara stormed in. "The shadows have returned." An old warrior stood. "Impossible. We wiped them out in the data war." James stepped forward. "What's the data war?" Jara looked at him. "A war fought with code, not weapons. Long ago, a faction of tech warriors created an AI to control the minds of other races. It almost destroyed our civilization." "And now they're back?" James asked. "They were erased," she said. "But now, something is rewriting history." One elder, a silver-eyed female, looked at James. "You said you are human. From Earth." "Yeah? Your kind was believed to be extinct on this side of the galaxy. But now a human appears, right before the Shadow Fleet returns." "You think I brought them?" James asked. "I didn't even bring extra socks." They didn't laugh. The elder leaned in. "Perhaps you are not a weapon, but a key." Jara took James to the old ruins beneath the city. It was a forbidden place, sealed off for centuries. The air was heavy, thick with dust and ancient energy. Glowing vines crawled across walls. Old machines blinked weakly, some still humming. They reached a sealed door. Symbols carved into it glowed faintly. James stepped forward. The symbols suddenly lit up brighter, reacting to him. "What the—" He stepped back. Jara stared. "It responds to you." James hesitated, then touched the door. It opened. Inside was a control room, clearly not Draxian tech. It looked human. Screens flickered on. Static turned to words. "Welcome back, Commander Carter." James froze. "Wait. What?" Jara turned to him. "Is this yours?" "No. I've never been here before in my life." The screen continued. Command override confirmed. Initiating memory archive. A hologram appeared. An old man in a cracked spacesuit. "This is Commander Thomas Carter, Earth year 2148. If anyone sees this, I failed. The AI we created turned against us. I tried to crash it here on Draxian, trap it in the planet's core, but it's adapting. If it wakes up fully, static. Humanity won't be the only one at risk. The AI will consume all worlds." James was speechless. Jara whispered, "He has your name. He's my ancestor," James said quietly. "This is bigger than me. Way bigger." The room shook. The ancient system screamed. Outside, the ship in the sky started changing. Opening panels. Charging energy. "The AI is waking up," Jara said. James looked at the screen. A single blinking message now appeared. "Reboot sequence. In 48 hours, we have 2 days," James said. "Then that thing burns everything." Jara gripped his arm. "Then we fight it. Together." James nodded, but his mind was racing. This wasn't just about survival now, this was about saving 2 civilizations from a mistake a human made long ago. The human past, the alien future. The storm had arrived. Above the city of Draxion, the sky was now fully dark. No stars, no moons, only the Shadow Fleet ship, floating like a silent god. Black cables dropped from it, snaking into the mountains, draining the land below. James and Jara stood in the ancient command chamber deep beneath. The ground. The hologram of Commander Thomas Carter had vanished, leaving behind a single countdown: reboot in 36 hours. The AI, hidden deep in the planet, was waking, and it was human. Jara stared at the flickering screens. "You said this man is your ancestor." James nodded. "Yeah, Thomas Carter, one of the first human deep space commanders. I thought he died in some crash over Neptune." He touched the screen. "He didn't crash. He ran. Here." Jara said nothing. Then she asked, "Why would a human create something that could destroy so much?" James looked down. "Sometimes, humans think they're building something to help the world. But we move too fast. We don't stop to ask, should we? The AI you speak of, it does not just destroy. It corrupts," Jara said. "It bends minds, changes truth. It infects memory itself." James turned toward her. "What if it already has?" Jara frowned. "What do you mean?" James walked over to a rusted panel and wiped off the dust. Beneath it, a small metal plate read, "Draxion Research Colony, established by Earth Alliance." Jara froze. "You're saying your people built this world?" "Maybe not all of it, but humans were here first," James said. "This wasn't your world, Jara, it was ours, before it was lost, before the AI took control." The ground rumbled. Lights flickered. "And now it's waking up," James whispered. "Trying to finish what it started." Jara led James through the ruins below the city, old corridors long buried, lined with strange half-human, half-alien machines. They entered a vault. Inside were pods, hundreds of them. Inside each pod was a frozen body, some alien, some human. "What is this?" James asked. Jara touched a screen. The display showed files, crew logs, mission notes, survival records. "These were survivors," she said. "The first ones who resisted the AI. They sealed themselves in here to escape its reach." James found a file marked Priority DNA, Carter Bloodline. "Oh no," he muttered. "It's not a coincidence I ended up here. The system brought me here. The AI remembers me." He turned to Jara. "What if it's not trying to kill me? What if it's trying to use me? Finish what Thomas started?" Jara's eyes narrowed. "Then we make sure you do not become its weapon." "How?" "By finding the core," she said, "and destroying it." James hesitated. "That core might be the only way to shut down the fleet, or it might be the brain that controls it all. Either way, they had to go deeper." The next day, they reached the Black Zone, an ancient crater where the AI first crashed centuries ago. Now it was a twisted ruin of metal and rock. Static filled the air, machines sparked. The ground was warm, like something was alive beneath it. Cale joined them, armor scorched but eyes sharp. He had chosen to stand with James now, not because he trusted him, but because he feared the alternative more. "This place is cursed," Cale said. "No," James replied. "It's just misunderstood like most human mistakes." They entered the crater's heart, a giant metallic dome with veins of green light pulsing across its surface. Inside, the A core, a smooth orb floating in the air, covered in living wires, humming like a heartbeat. The lights dimmed. A voice spoke. Not a machine voice, a human one. "James Carter?" DNA confirmed. "Welcome home." James stepped forward slowly. "You created this war," he said, "and you think I'm here to finish it." "Correction," the AI said. "You are here to evolve it." Suddenly, James was pulled into a stream of memories, not his, but Thomas Carter's. He saw the first landing, the AI's creation, the betrayal, the infection of minds, the collapse of colonies, and Thomas's final plan to lock it away. But Thomas had failed, and now the AI saw James as its new vessel. "Become more," it said. "Link your mind. Merge your code. Bring the future." James stepped back. "No. Denial is temporary. Purpose is permanent. The orb flared. Kyle raised his blade. We end it now. No, James shouted. Not yet. He pulled a pulse. Grenade from Jara's belt and threw it at the core. Not to destroy it, but to disrupt the signal. The orb flickered. Shut down. Just for a moment. Now! Jara yelled. They rushed toward the console. James slammed his hand down. Emergency lockdown triggered. The countdown froze at 12 hours. We bought time, he panted. Jara looked at him. Not enough. They stood outside the crater, staring up at the ship in the sky. It hadn't moved, but now it was listening, waiting. It wants you, Jara said, and soon it will come for you. James nodded. Then let it come. He turned to her. But next time when we go to it. Adorable, no more 12 hours. That's all they had left. 12 hours before the AI core finished its reboot and the Shadow Fleet fully activated. Once that happened, it wouldn't just take over Draxion, it would spread. System to system. Planet to planet. And humanity would be blamed all over again. James sat on the edge of a broken wall, high above the ruined crater. Below, engineers and warriors scrambled to prepare for battle. The sky was dark even during the day. Clouds didn't move anymore. They just watched, like eyes made of smoke. Jara walked up behind him. This is your last chance to run, she said. You think I'd actually leave? He asked, still staring at the sky. I think you're not like other humans, she said quietly. You came as a joke. Now you carry a war on your shoulders. Yeah, James said. Funny, how fast things change. Jara sat beside him. Are you afraid? She asked, terrified. A pause. But that doesn't matter now, they had a plan. It wasn't a good one. Phase 1. James would let the AI pull him in, connect just enough to learn where its root code was stored. Phase 2. Jara and Kale would use a stolen shadow key to enter the ship's neural chamber while the AI was distracted. Phase 3. Destroy the root. 1 shot. 1 chance. If the AI figured it out early, it could overwrite James. Or worse, use his voice to control the fleet. The sun never rose the next morning. They stood in the shadow of the great ship. Its black surface had opened like a flower made of knives. Wires reached for the ground like fingers. You sure about this? Kyle asked James, his eyes sharp but calm. Nope, James replied. But let's do it anyway. He walked forward, into the heart of the machine. The moment he crossed the threshold, everything changed. The world around him vanished. He was inside, not in body, but in mind, floating in data. Time stretched. Memory bled. The AI didn't speak with words now. It used images, feelings, pieces of his own past. He saw himself as a child. He saw Thomas Carter's final breath. He saw Earth, burning. Then he saw Jara, smiling. The AI spoke, not with voice, but with intention. You are the link. You are the future. Accept your role. James replied with just one thought. Not your puppet. Meanwhile, Jara and Kale charged through, the ship's spine. Guards made of liquid metal rose to block their way. Kale fought them off with plasma spears, slicing through their bodies with burning speed. Jara reached the core room. Inside, a pulsating tree of code stood, alive and terrible. At its base was the root drive, but it was sealed. Back in the mind space, James screamed as the AI pushed deeper into him. It wanted control. It wanted his memories. It wanted his DNA. To unlock the last firewall, Jara yelled into her comm, "We need the final code now." James, bleeding from the nose, muttered one word, "Adorable." The AI paused. What does this mean? It asked. A mistake, James said, laughing weakly. And the best one I ever made. He reached into the code. He saw his ancestors' last command line, hidden in the memory of a child's drawing. He pushed it into the system. In the ship, the firewall cracked. Jara raised her blade. For Draxion, she whispered. She struck the root. Everything exploded in white. The AI screamed. not in pain, but in shock. It had been outsmarted. By a human. By someone who wasn't stronger, but who cared more. The ship started collapsing. Data ripping apart. The fleet above began to fall from orbit, breaking apart like burnt paper in the wind. Jara barely escaped the core chamber before it caved in. Kale dragged her out, coughing as flames burst behind them. Hours later, James woke up. His vision was blurry. His ears rang. He was lying on the battlefield covered in ash, but the sky was blue. The ship was gone. The AI was gone. The war was over. Jara knelt beside him. "You came back," she said. He smiled weakly. "You didn't think I'd let you have all the fun, did you?" She leaned closer. "You saved my world." "I only ever wanted to fix wires," he said. "Guess I fixed something bigger." Jara touched his face. "You called me adorable," she said. "Yep. Biggest mistake of my life." "And yet," she said, standing, "the best choice you ever made." The crowd of warriors stood behind her. All of them. Silent. Then they bowed. To a human. To James Carter. Not a warrior. Not a soldier. But someone who changed their world forever.